Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, crypto and Patreon link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. Also become a part of the Flat Earth Debate community by visiting nathanoakley.com and joining the forum there to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the live Flat Earth Debate. Now, currently we don't have any guests at the moment, as I've just started the after show, as you can probably tell. In fact, why did I encourage people to click a link that isn't actually live yet? This is not live, so my bad. There is no link, but there will be shortly as soon as we get a few guests, so hopefully a few people will pipe up. We shall see. People contacting me. I've got the Morgile saying that he wants to pop by. Hopefully we'll have Morgile in today, we shall see. Having a few troubles getting online with his phone by the looks of things. Same with Chocolate saying. That said, oh dear. Arwen's currently live, so probably why there's not a great deal of people joining me. Get pestered all weekend for why I don't have a live show. Then you put out the link for people to join the pre-show. Nobody's here. Had Andrazace, or however you say his name, in one of the comments saying, "How was your holiday?" I was like, "What holiday? What are you talking about?" It's like, you didn't do any live shows over the weekend. I was like, yeah, but over the last 2 weeks, I've done between 5 and 8 live shows every day. Purely to get around my bogus copyright claims that I've received. So I've had an absolute ton of them. And they've really limited what I can do, so to get around that I've ended up publishing shows in advance in case I had no presence whatsoever, so there was still some presence, and that's the first show that goes out at 11 AM UK time on the second channel, Nathan Oakley. So that's one show. Then you have the 2 live shows, that's 3. Then I republish the first live show on the main channel, that's 4. Then the second channel, that's 5. Then the second show on the first channel, that's 6. Second show on the second channel, that's 7. Then there was also the splitting up of Ranties, which was Flat Earth QED, which I did 6 of. So on some days, there was 8 shows going out a day from me. And yeah, if I don't take a weekend off, I'll end up burning out, which hopefully will change towards the end of this week, as I hopefully regain control of one of those 2 main channels, and can then just live stream on Nathan Oakley, which is a huge help, as it will cut down my workload by about a third. My plan is to put up the live show on the second channel and then run it as I am now. So at the moment it goes out on Flat Earth Debate, which will just basically vanish once I get control of one of my bigger channels back to live stream. But at present the show goes out live, and then as soon as it finishes, it dies. I turn it off, or it does it automatically. And then I put it out as a premiere on the main channel. My intention would be to do something similar with the second and main channel. So in other words, live stream on the second channel at the usual time. So this would usually, if it wasn't a Monday, start at 2 PM. And then, once that live show finishes, turn it off, do the second live show, and mirror the first show onto the main channel. So that roughly once the second show finishes, the first pre-show will go out on the main channel, so there will be some unique material. It's not just a repeat, although it'll have the bulk of the main live debate in the middle of it, and then the after show afterwards on the second show. So that will be my plan, and then maybe a week later or a few days later I'll switch them back on the second channel. But just so there's not two videos trying to get the same viewership, I'll keep it as I've been doing at the moment, which is to say, yes, they do reach both channels at different times, but initially at least there's just one video. So hence me not sort of barking on as much as I have been about sharing the live show, because it just gets turned off. So it's weird, because obviously I want to say it because it still goes out to an audience with me saying please share the show, like now. Obviously this isn't live, so there's no audience to tell anyway. This will only go to the Nathan Oakley and Nathan Oakley 1980 audiences, so yeah, please share the show. But when I'm live, I don't necessarily want to encourage the live audience to do so, because they'll be sharing a show that gets turned off. But that'll all change, hopefully by the end of this week, because it doesn't matter if you share a show that's going to get turned on a day later or a week later, it's still going to be, you know, there to see, and the share's worth it. Of course, that will all return completely to normal, hopefully by the end of March, when I can just live stream from my main channel. That'll cut my workload down by another third, which would be fantastic, because that's really what I need. Slightly easier life. 8 shows in a day and you get accused of having a holiday. I love it. Sending out some messages to the people in Skype who are saying, yeah, we'll join at the moment. So I thought I'll get the pre-show running, because the chances are somebody will join, and obviously I want to retain the whole conversation as they do join. And this would normally be my sort of routine for the second channel. So in other words, I'd go live on the main channel, having just done a pre-show, and that pre-show would go out to the more limited audience, because obviously if there is a load of dead air in this bit, which there isn't, because I'm now talking non-stop, so that there isn't, I would just be happy with that. I'd stick it recording, you know, go into the kitchen, feed my kid, do whatever I've got to do whilst it's recording, basically dead air. And then, you know, normally the secondary audience is a bit more, you know, die hard, and they're happy to sit through a bit of dead air. But now this is going onto the main channel. Obviously, I know this is the main bit, right? This is the opening part of the show. So yeah, people will tolerate it in the second show if they've had a nice, concise live show with guests right at the beginning, introductions, housekeeping, all that good stuff. But at the moment, I'm just sat here because I thought Morgan had joined. There's like, yeah, are you live? I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for a guest. As soon as I get a guest, I'll go live. He's like, oh, right, okay, I'll join then. I was like, okay, I'll get my intro done. Here we are, 10 minutes later. Say 10 minutes, 7 minutes later, 8 minutes later. Yeah, life is quite turbulent at the moment, I won't lie. Still limited in terms of what I can do on YouTube. May not seem that way, as I seem to be everywhere at the moment, obviously, having been doing 8 shows a day. But not through choice, I assure you. I would definitely prefer to just have one show, then maybe mirror it as a backup, and that would be it. And that's pretty much what I was doing before all this argy-bargy. Sticking out a show, and then pretty much before the live show would end, I'd stick out the after show whilst the live show was going, so I could get it all into the same 2 hours. And then once it was done, it's like, great, I can get on with other stuff. Now that won't be the case anymore, because I've got a website, so visit nathanoakley.com, check out the forum. Hopefully that'll be a big success. It's already started to gain a bit of momentum, which I'm very pleased with. So, you know, it'd be nice to build up a bit of a community of debating individuals on that forum. And it's a soft entrance into the debate. Not everyone wants to jump on and just immediately start debating with globeheads. So, in that respect, it's a bit more like a chess game. If you're in a forum, you can take your time over each reply and really carefully consider what you're going to reply with, or even go away and do a load of research and then reply, whatever. But yeah, I hope the Flat Earth Debate Forum takes off. It's all very new. In the space of a month, I've got that website from absolutely nothing to a fully functioning site with a forum, with all the archive material. Backlinks to all of the things I want in there, YouTube and Patreon and all that good stuff. Talking to Patreon, I'm, again, really, really, really pleased with that. So Ranty's been talking me into having Patreon, and now I'm very grateful that he has talked me into doing it. So I've set a target of $500 in Patreon, as that would take the pressure off me. So when I'm explaining to people in the chat saying, you know, please share the show, obviously I'll do a bit of e-begging as well and say, oh, what are you so excited about? Do a bit of e-begging and I have no guilt for it whatsoever. I do work very hard doing what I'm doing. And yeah, the amount of pressure over the course of January and the beginning part of February has been massive. Hey, sausage. And I could do without it, like anybody. You know, you just want to know that you can actually cover your outgoings without having a total distressing month because you can't stream on YouTube for whatever reason. And Patreon definitely offers that. Oh, got John's joined us. Hey, John.
What's up? What's up, guys? Can you hear me now?
You can hear me. I'm talking to myself, actually, John. This is just recording. I'm not actually live yet.
Oh, okay. No worries. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm very well. Do you mind if I do go live, though?
Sure, yeah.
I'll just pop you back on mute and then I'll go live.
Okay, I will mute.
No. You don't have to do anything.
Oh.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a Patreon, crypto and PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you can get over the sound of my very excitable kid, if you would like to join the panel, then simply mute the page you're currently watching. Mute my kid as well if I could. And then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by a very special guest. We've got John the Morgile. How you doing, John? Good morning to you.
Hey, Nathan. Good, man. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. It's been a while since we spoke, and I'm glad I was able to catch you this morning. I'm glad to be here, man.
That's cool, man. We can do like a... may not be concise. We'll see how this goes, but I'm going to do a bit of housekeeping with you. You may or may not be familiar with this, but just roll with it if you're good with that, Morgile.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just answer honestly. Any signs of curvature?
I can't say that I have found any signs of curvature, no.
What about axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Seen any of that?
Absolutely not, unfortunately, and not for lack of trying.
What about scientific evidence of gravity? Seen any of that?
Well, if I jump off of my balcony, I will hit the ground. But
I'm pretty sure that would be down to relative density, though, would it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
No scientific evidence of gravity come your way since we last spoke?
No, man, I wish.
Fair enough. What about evidence for the distance to the sun?
No, I can't say that I've seen that either. Triangulating on the sun using Eratosthenes' method, I don't think is adequate because of refraction.
Very reasonable. What about evidence that we can have gas pressure without a container, just for all the people watching who believe in a vacuum of space?
Yeah, well, that's a big one, isn't it? And I got to say, I loved the show that you had pretty recently with the chemistry guy. He was not scoring many points for the Globe, but no, absolutely not. And that's a big one. So no evidence that the hypothetical theory of gravity can act as a solid barrier between the near perfect vacuum of space and the pressurized environment of the Earth.
Very reasonable again. This is getting close to almost too concise. I love it. So what about evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Any evidence of that?
No, and no. And if you get to thinking about it, if you've ever tried to build something out of molten metal as the foundation, I don't think that that would be very sturdy. So I'd have to say no on that one as well.
Perfectly reasonable. What about any evidence of the R value, the presupposition of Earth radius?
Well, you do have that circumstantial evidence again with Eratosthenes, but no, absolutely not.
Oh, well, that pretty much concludes our housekeeping.
Yeah, that was easy.
It was easy. It's always easy with the flat earther on the panel, with the globe head on the panel. They often have delusions that they have some answers for these things, like you say with that chemistry guy.
Oh man. Wow. Well, hypothetically, in theory, if you had an Earth-sized object, you could demonstrate it, but yeah. Wow.
Out of interest, before you came to Flat Earth, were you familiar with Cavendish, or was it just something that you came across subsequently to Flat Earth?
I think I probably would have learned about him in science classes, but it never really stuck with me. So I can't swear to it, but it did sort of ring a bell. Now, one that I had heard about was Foucault or Foucault. I'm not sure how you say it. But as becoming a flat earther, I've learned that he did more than just build the pendulum.
Right, gyros as well. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, there was that, and also he had a hand in, well, I use the term loosely, but he had the hand in measuring the speed of light as well, and amongst other things as well. Gyros.
You were probably the first person to break down the Coriolis effect in such a manner that it was understandable for me. Not to the degree that I could debate it, but certainly that I could understand the contradiction. And I don't know if you remember the video. This is probably going back 3.5 years. But you had a video where you had a guy with a globe head, quite literally, in a chair being interrogated. Do you remember that video?
Yeah.
In part of that video, I mean, you did detailed more than just the Coriolis in that video, but you basically broke apart the contradiction of the Coriolis. And from that day to this, it's always been, for me, baffled by bullshit of globe heads. So you explained it very concisely. You'd have whatever 1,700-mile-an-hour flights in one way, and they'd be fighting against the turn of the Earth the other, and that is the case. But that can kind of get obfuscated really easily, even though it is so concise. Do you know what I mean by that? People will try and talk their way around that.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, we just go along assuming that the Earth is spinning. I mean, that's what we are conditioned into believing for years, and so we just sort of take that for granted that the Earth is in motion. But when you actually get on an airplane, and so like the first time I ever flew on a plane, I was about 10 years old, and we flew from Florida to Texas, Dallas Fort Worth, and on that flight, I was looking at, I had a round trip flight. I was looking at my tickets, and I wanted to see how much faster the flight from, the westbound flight would be compared to the eastbound flight, because I was certain that flying west would be much easier, much more swift than flying east, racing against the destination. And I was perplexed, to say the least, that the flight durations, at least in planning, were identical. And so when I got off the plane, I told my aunt, who picked me up at the airport, I said, Aunt Diana, I'm pretty sure I just figured out that the Earth isn't spinning. Like, those are my exact words, like literally. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, the flight from Florida to Texas was 3.5 hours or whatever, and the return flight's the same. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if everything is rotating towards the east, the flight from Florida to Texas should be much shorter in duration. And she basically explained. Sorry?
We got Travis. Hey, Travis.
Oh, hey.
Excellent timing, Travis, as always.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so
down on my end, so I don't know if you guys can hear me.
We can hear you.
Is he just quiet? Do I need to turn him up? I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I can hear both of you guys.
Cool.
And so,
sorry, we got to your aunt. What was her reaction?
Well, she basically explained everything away. she said, you don't understand, the plane is traveling east before it takes off. And basically, it's the same old argument that we've all heard, that regardless of how fast or how hard you accelerate the plane to the west, it's always going to retain that eastward velocity with the spin of the Earth. And, I kind of put that argument to bed at that point, but I was still kind of scratching my head because it didn't add up to me. We've all lived in reality our whole lives. And if you're, I don't know, like if you're at the beach and you
But
run
just before you go to the
towards
beach,
wave,
when you say it made no sense to you, I just want to break that down just so the audience gets it implicitly. For what your aunt said to be true, it would mean there is no Coriolis effect.
right, exactly, yeah. So you have to disregard the Coriolis effect in order for the flight times to be identical in duration, in order for that to work on the spinning ball, right?
But that's a really powerful statement to say to somebody. That's why, like I say, when you first broke it down, I went, yeah, that makes total sense. But then it got so beautifully obfuscated to the point where literally you have people like George Netanyahu going after people's jobs, i.e. Brian Mullen, over this particular issue, i.e. Coriolis effect, because it needs to be shrouded in obfuscation, because the planes disproved there is a Coriolis effect. That's the bottom line here. I'll just say hello to a couple of our new guests. Hello, HLSS, and hello, Chocolate Satan.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Good to have you both.
Good morning, John. Good to see you in here, John.
Yeah, good to be here, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so planes disprove the Coriolis effect. Where we started with this was the Foucault pendulum, and what the Foucault pendulum is basically demonstrating is two reference frames. The Earth turns underneath. So you have the movement of the pendulum because you have the separate reference frame of the Earth turning underneath. Well, if you're to accept what the Foucault pendulum demonstrates, that you have two separate reference frames, then the plane journeys would be different durations.
Absolutely. And, of course, they bring in the arguments about the atmosphere being, tattooed to the frame of reference of the spin of the Earth. But, in order for that to happen, then, as far as I can tell, you would really have no winds. And so, you've got winds aloft that can be hundreds of miles an hour. Like, I'm not sure how that works if the atmosphere is tattooed to the frame of reference with the Earth, but okay. But you're right. So, like, the Coriolis effect, in a nutshell, is that if you have a rotating body as a reference frame, any object that is securely, held fast to that rotating body will maintain that rotating frame of reference. But the instant that that secondary object is released from being fastly secured to the rotating body, it slips out and loses that rotational frame of reference. And that's demonstrable in a lab or on a merry-go-round, or lots of different ways you can demonstrate that. And yeah, absolutely. In basically these airline flights, what we're expected to believe is that when an airplane takes off and starts accelerating towards the west, doesn't matter how fast you go or how hard you accelerate, it's always and forever going to be bound to that 1,000-mile-an-hour eastward rotational velocity. So yeah, it just absolutely flies in the face with the facts surrounding the Coriolis effect.
Yeah, and you have. I've recently started to figure out where people like Cox and Tyson actually sit in this scheme, which is to say that they speak the highest language of doublespeak. So you'll have Cox and Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about the interaction of Coriolis effect, and I'll give you an example which you'll know. So there was I can't remember if it was missed or won, but they had a field goal where Tyson sent out a tweet saying that was because of the rotating reference frame of the Earth. I'm paraphrasing deliberately, but basically what he's saying in his tweet is, because the Earth rotates underneath the second reference frame where the ball is travelling, the ball travels in a straight line and the Earth rotates underneath, meaning that the field goal was made or lost, I forget which, as a direct result of the Coriolis effect. Well, what he's saying in that statement is the highest order of doublespeak, because there is no Coriolis effect. There is no Earth turning underneath the second reference frame, like I say, or like John says. The planes would take different durations. You'd have beyond supersonic flights, plus whatever the wind gave you, if we had a separate reference frame. So without it being necessarily a spinning reference frame, just so people get an idea of what we're talking about. If you've got a train, so it's on a track, obviously the track is attached to the ground that it's moving along, and the train's travelling at, say, 100 miles an hour, and inside the train, which is sealed, all the doors and windows are closed, and you fly a drone, well, you could potentially fly that drone around the around the train without any issues, because you have one reference frame. So in other words, the drone takes off at the back of the train and flies to the front, and it will maintain the 100-mile-an-hour speed that it had inside the frame of reference of the train. So that's one reference frame, as described with the planes that we take on our journeys. We take off and we maintain the 1,000-mile-an-hour alleged spin that we don't have. That's what they say. It's taking off and maintaining the speed that it had when it took off. Well, that's one reference frame, like the drone on a train. Now imagine cutting the top off that train. So you're completely out in the elements. You've only got the engine and the tracks below you, and you're travelling at 100 miles an hour. What do you think is going to happen to the drone when it takes off? Well, the train's going to carry on going underneath it, and the drone's going to be left miles behind from your vantage point on the train. So you just see the drone disappear behind you. Well, that's because it's gone into the second reference frame, and the train carries on underneath. Well, the same should apply to Earth. You take off from the first reference frame that's rotating, and the Earth rotates underneath. The planes, the Foucault pendulum, the ball going towards a field goal. Anything that's in a second reference frame. The problem being, we don't see that. It never, ever, ever happens. There is no second reference frame. We're just stationary. Nothing's moving apart from the wind.
Well, and I agree with you to an extent, although I will tell you that I've done this experiment myself. And if you're on a moving train that's going at a consistent speed, straight down the track, if you jog or sprint from the front of the moving train towards the rear, it's easier. It's a swifter journey than sprinting from the rear of the moving train towards the front. This is something anybody can do. And so the way that I would describe this is that a moving object, say the train or the hypothetically spinning Earth, is a fixed frame of reference, but only to the extent to where there is no acceleration of the secondary body. And so again, if in the drone example, I would argue that it would be easier to fly the drone from the front of the train to the rear than it is to fly the drone from the rear of the train to the front. And you can demonstrate this all day long. And the way that this converts to the Earth is, again, westbound flights should be much more swift in duration, much shorter in duration than their respective eastbound flights. And we get this topic gets obfuscated by the Coriolis effect, which is in disagreement, the atmosphere always being tattooed to the frame of reference of the Earth, which brings in a host of other problems. And we even get the claim of long distance sniper shots, taking into account the Coriolis effect. But have you looked into that much?
Well, it's the same thing, isn't it? If you were to allege that a bullet leaves a gun, and you have to correct for the fact that, again, in quotes, the Earth turns underneath. Well, if that's the case, then the Earth turns underneath. So again, if it's turning underneath bullets and Foucault pendulums, why isn't it turning underneath the planes?
Right. Well, and here's the funny thing about it, though. When you're in the northern hemisphere, they say that the Coriolis effect will always cause your bullet to drift to the right. And that's whether you're facing north, south, east, west, or any combination of those. The drift due to the Coriolis force is always to the right. And if you try to sort of think about this and maybe diagram it out, it kind of maybe makes sense if you're facing north or south. But if you're facing east or west, it doesn't jive. And so what it looks like to me is it's merely the gyroscopic drift of the bullet itself, because bullets are spinning at high velocities. It's like a little gyro, and most rifled barrels are spiraled clockwise, and so you have that clockwise gyration or clockwise spin of the round. And I actually called some rifle manufacturers, and I tried to find out about getting a counterclockwise barrel of rifling, and basically they call that a left-handed rifling. And of all the half a dozen manufacturers I spoke with, you cannot get such counterclockwise rifling. It's pretty much you're going to get the clockwise. And so I just thought that it was really funny because what we've got here is gyroscopic drift of the bullet. And certainly not Coriolis force causing, say you're facing to the west and you fire a rifled round towards the west. Why would the Coriolis effect cause that to drift to the right? Like it doesn't make any sense at all.
Why do you think
Hey P, we've been
pay
trying
for your
I was trying to introduce you, P. How you doing?
I was wondering why he thinks flat earthers should pay for his drug addiction.
That's not what this
Excuse
show's
me.
about. We're talking about the shape of the Earth.
And
Let's not add
who's
homonym.
I am
drugs?
too. People are drug addicts within the flat Earth community,
This is
that
not the platform for
pretend to have
accusations,
the Earth to
P.
be flat.
P, come on.
and then they get
don't-
money,
Pete,
and then
I don't
he
wanna
gives
kick
it
you
to
out.
his
Come on.
girlfriend, and she's like passing out from the smack on the
Oh
couch.
God, I'm
behind
gonna
her.
have to kick you out, P. If you're gonna continue. Have you got anything shape of the Earth related or not?
Can I pretend the Earth is flat and make money and buy drugs with the money?
Oh God, right. Bye bye.
So
Clearly,
like
you don't
yeah,
want to stay.
like wow, like I love how you're an expert on my life and
He's not.
you
Just
know
don't take the
absolutely
bait.
nothing what you're talking about.
Don't take the
Well,
bait.
here's the thing, if I'm able to say something, John, I have no idea about your life, but I look at your arguments. I'm not gonna look at what we need to address the arguments, not attack people.
Absolutely, no ad hominems. Hey,
What?
Pete, you can join so long as you don't ad hom the other guests. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Okay.
Hiya, folks.
Good to have you.
Hey,
I'm very well. Good to be here. It's great to have John on as well. Hiya, John.
hey man, how's it going?
Mark
It's going very well.
John,
I'm glad
Mark
you-
Doxy.
I'm glad you joined us, John. Listen to your broadcasts, and you're very focused.
Well, thank you, man.
Good
I
man.
appreciate that. It's nice of you to say.
You're
John
one of the
can-
best at pretending the Earth is flat, John.
Say that again, Pete.
Pretend.
Oh, Pete, go away.
Hold on. What was I heard something flat Earth related.
No,
What did
you
you
guys
say?
are. I want to pretend the Earth is flat.
Just what was your
So-
question?
Does that person have any argument or evidence in support of the spinning ball Earth? I'd love to hear it.
I think an imagination is a wonderful thing, and flat Earth is really great entertainment.
So that's your evidence for the spinning ball, is that the imagination is a wonderful thing.
Why?
all you got?
I'm a poker player.
That's
I'm a
lovely. Do you
professional
have any
poker
shape
player.
of the Earth arguments, P?
Why do you want a professional poker player to teach you about the shape of the Earth?
You joined a flat Earth debate, you moron.
Right, and I don't think we need
Yeah,
you to
but I
teach us
pretend.
anything.
I want to pretend the Earth is flat with you guys
Okay.
because
Hey,
I like
Jose.
making money.
Jose,
Chill,
I like
Pete,
making
chill.
money.
Okay, P. Thanks. Hey, P. Hey, Jose. How you doing?
Nothing to fear. Jose Globes Sales is here. John de Morgal. Greetings, P. Mars, everybody else. Greetings.
Hey,
Hey, Jose,
I
you're
used
one of my
to think
favorites.
the Earth is flat. I used to think the Earth was flat 2 weeks ago. I was a little over 2 years deep into the flat Earth, bro. And
So
yeah,
what happened?
I was able to get out of it.
So what happened? You saw some evidence to convince you that the Earth is a spinning ball in outer space?
Yes. I start
So-
catching a little bit of footage that couldn't be explained in a flat Earth with all the explanations, all the optical phenomena. It's just
Jose.
geometrically impossible. And
Jose.
then after that, I realized, hold on, Choco, I'm almost done. Then after that, I realized that I couldn't present any evidence in favor of flat Earth just on my own. Yeah, I couldn't. Taking the synthetic approach like a flat Earth do, I couldn't present any evidence in favor of flat
But Jose, have you considered that the Earth looks flat?
Earth. Yeah, right.
Okay, so wait a minute. So what was this footage? I'd love to see it.
I got a little bit of footage. I just put 2 short videos of a geometrical impossibility in a very clear day, obstruction for the bottom up. So I'm gonna be asked, how do you conclude from obstruction to curvature? Because I have been in this spot already. I cannot. I just by logic and reason, we open our eyes, we open our mind, we unbiased look at the evidence, and it's obvious it's obstructed from the bottom up because of a sphericity of the Earth.
That's
The only
bollocks.
explanation.
That's total bollocks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could I share my screen
Sure.
real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. Okay. And if I could figure out how to do it, that would be spectacular.
Hover your mouse over the Hangout page, top left-hand corner, green
There we go.
boxes.
Got it. Oh, and I don't want to give away the Hangout link. So
Don't worry about it. It
me
goes out to the public.
slide this over.
You don't need to care.
Oh, okay. All right. So there we go. I am screen sharing. Okay. So these pictures you've probably seen, but we'll just go over it again. This is the current world record long distance landscape photography or photograph. And the mountain in the distance is 273 miles away. It's a 2.5 mile tall peak. And we can see basically the entire mountain from the base to the tip. And I put together a diagram here, if I can find it. Move this out of the way. There we go. And so this is just a not to scale diagram of the geometry with the observer's height, the apparent horizon, assuming a ball Earth would be 117 miles away. And that means that the top of that distant peak, 273 miles away, would be over 1/2 mile below the horizon line. And so I'm not sure how you can reconcile this on a ball Earth. Again, there it is. There's the distant peak, 273 miles away. It's simply not possible on a sphere Earth with a 4,000 mile radius.
Yeah, this is a very interesting observation. Is I think one of the first observations that I came across that I said like, holy shit, this is flat Earth evidence, And then as my journey continued, I decided to take my own footage and take with a grain of salt, with a pinch of salt, any other evidence presented to me. I say, yeah, there's a lot of kind of evidence for the flat Earth, but for every one evidence for the flat Earth, there's 20 in favor of the globe, And I decided not to parrot or mirror.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry. Every evidence that you've described so far, Jose, is obstruction. And then you loosely said that with logic and reason you decided it was curvature, which is tantamount to a religious belief. You've just decided that one thing is something else. Well, obstruction's not curve.
Exactly.
So I decided not to parrot or mirror other people's job because to be in a bandwagon, I decided just to look at me for only myself. And I realized today I know the Earth is a globe and it works perfectly. Yeah.
What works? What works perfectly? What are you talking about?
The heliocentric model works perfectly. It's
okay.
Maybe
you didn't watch yesterday's show.
The heliocentric model works.
So
I would just like to see the evidence that he's talking about, though.
I would like to see the model he's
thing.
talking about.
20,
That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
Jose, so you said the heliocentric model works. Can I see it, please?
Yeah.
I think faith is the superior
you know what? Yeah, I'll
epistemology.
present you the heliocentric model after you presented me the flat Earth model. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mention any model. You specifically said in
you asked me
quotes,
for a model.
don't
I don't
rumpus
want to
me,
present you a
Jose.
model. Why you asking me for it?
Please don't rumpus me. Don't need to become a total dick just because you've decided to believe in the ball. So, Jose, your words were, the heliocentric model works. So I made no claim about any model, you did. I'd like to see this model you think works, please. Direct me to where I can see it.
Perfectly, but you don't have to believe it. Yeah,
don't tell me it works.
You just don't have to believe it.
Listen to the words, Jose. Don't become deaf. I said I would like to see... Don't rumpus me. I'd like to see the model that you just detailed. The model that just works. Where can I see this model?
Use your imagination.
Go for me? You say go for me now? Okay. No, I'm not going to present it to you, Nathan. Thank you.
What model are you talking about then?
Well,
you trust, Jose?
My question would be, he said for every one piece of evidence that shows evidence for a flat Earth, there are 20 for the globe, and I would love to see just one. Because I haven't seen any.
Well, Morgal, if you get out of the kind of the little vacuum of the Globebusters show,
So you don't have any evidence.
Yeah, I was almost done. Go ahead.
So you don't have any evidence, is what you're saying.
I can, if I get a minute, I can address the point.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, if you know what happens when people stay in a, I don't want to say circle jerk because I know it's an insult and I feel insulted when I get told that, but it's just a saying, when people stay in a circle jerk and don't want to get out of their comfort zone and go looking for the evidence, the echo chamber, when they don't want to go look for the opposite view for what they are denying, they're not going to find it. They're not going to see it. They're not going to want to see it. They want to keep mirroring and parroting the other people's that think just like them. They don't want to look to the side. That's it.
Okay, so my question was, you said that for every one piece of flat Earth evidence, there are 20 globe Earth pieces of evidence. When I asked you to show me one, you said basically I need to get out of my circle jerk echo chamber and presented 0 evidence. So my question to you is then, you don't actually have any evidence, right?
Oh, it's everywhere. In my channel, I got a few, but I'm in my mobile phone. I cannot share any screen.
We already covered this. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You have obstruction from the bottom up, and when we ask you why you decided that's curved, you've said logic and reason and my belief. That's basically your reason. And then when I asked you for the model that you say works, you say no, like it's some sort of secret. So is this just a religious Bible basher equivalent coming here saying, I believe, you must believe also, and you're all in an echo chamber if you don't?
I'm not telling you to believe it. Yes, I believe in my religion, and you believe in your fantasy, Nathan. Flat Earth is a fantasy. I'd rather believe in something that is set in stone and taught in school for hundreds of years. But this Flat Earth is another belief, more of a pipe dream fantasy that I don't want to believe anymore. I'm sorry.
But you believe in a model that doesn't exist.
It doesn't matter, belief versus belief. I believe in the globe, and you guys believe in the flat Earth.
You believe it. I'm very glad that you said it out loud.
You believe it too. Yeah.
I don't need to believe anything.
Join us, Jose.
But I believe it with evidence because I see it.
No, you don't. Jose, please stop saying that. Jose, please stop saying you have evidence. We've done this 3 times. You're starting to sound like a religious zealot. So you've come here with only your belief, and you're telling us that we're in a circle jerk, and that we should believe as you believe. That's basically what you're saying, like a religious zealot.
Join our cult that pretends it's not a cult.
When I look up on the sunrise and sunset, the sun traversing 15 degrees per hour, not changing in angular size, and coming around antipodal from me and coming in the sunrise again, impossibility for any flat Earth explanation. Impossible. So that's it. That's all I need.
Sorry, what you've just described. Hold on, I've just got to repeat back what you've said. You've said that the sun moving 15 degrees an hour. That proves the sun moves.
Something is moving 15 degrees per hour.
The sun.
It could be the sun. It could be the Earth.
You just said it. Do I need to quote back verbatim what you just said? The sun moving at 15 degrees an hour. Well, that's the sun moving, isn't it? Literally, you've got so many globehead arguments held so tight that you don't even realise you're not formulating the example into a proof, Jose. So you're saying the sun moving. Well, that's the sun moving. You've even said it yourself.
Okay, I say that, yeah. I might be a geocentrist.
My point would be, real quick, Jose, what does that have to do with the picture that we're looking at here of the mountain 275 miles away? What does the sun have to do with that?
Yeah. No, I have looked at this picture, and it's a cool picture, yeah.
So what does the sun moving have to do with the lack of curvature of the Earth, sir?
Oh, I don't know if anybody presents one of. I'm going to post a picture to see if somebody presented, so you can explain it to me. I don't know how to explain this. Your observation. I want to see if you can explain my observation. And it's not a hundreds of miles away. It's just a 17 miles away observation. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, hundreds of miles away is a much better indicator of either curvature or lack thereof than a few miles. But the point is, we don't know what the sun is. We don't know exactly how it operates or what's powering it or any of that. But the point is that's secondary to the actual geometry of the world. The word geometry etymologically translates to measure the Earth. And geometrically,
the hundreds of miles is a more difficult observation for any average Joe like me do. The 17 miles, 20 miles observation, anybody can do. We all see it around us every single day.
Sorry, you're just lying. I'm going to have to kick you out. Sorry, Jose, this is the 4th time. why did you just use the word curvature? Are you just a liar? I've done this 3 times. This is now the 4th. Why did you just use the word curvature? Are you just a liar now?
Do you want to say that? Yeah, it's up to you. You're entitled to your opinion, Nathan. But
no, it's not my opinion. You stated it categorically earlier. Obstruction from the bottom up. I asked you how you extrapolated that. You told us logic and reason and your religious bloody faith in Earth being a ball. Then you said about a model that you had, and you wouldn't show it. Now you're lying and saying you've seen curve. Don't lie here. Don't lie. You can lie to yourself all you like. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to the audience. You've not seen any curve. Don't make that claim again, or I'll have to kick you out for being a liar. Do you really want this, Jose?
Yeah.
Is this what you've become?
I'm looking at this
is this what you've become? Just a liar? Is this what you've become?
Is it diffraction? Is it the dirty air? Is it the angle of bullshit?
Is it curvature? Is it curvature? That's my point. Is it curve, or is that just you lying?
Nothing can explain it on a flat Earth.
It's not curve. Is it, Jose?
It has to be.
Sorry, it has to be based on your bloody religion.
No, in reality,
it's obstruction. That's what we've got in your pictures. Don't lie again. If this is what you've become, Jose, I want no association with you. If you've just descended into becoming a liar, it's sad. You should feel ashamed of yourself.
A liar now because you come
here.
Everybody,
it's not curve. Are you deaf? Are you deaf?
No, man.
You've not conceded. You've become a complete globetard. It's not curve. You said it yourself. Obstruction from the bottom up. That's not curvature. I asked you to extrapolate out how you decided it was curvature, and you told us. You would just use your logic and your reason and a model you weren't prepared to show us. Now, don't just assert that it's curve. You haven't slipped that by. I've ripped in a new one. Don't just ignore me debunking your assertion that you've seen curve. You have not. Don't lie.
When I get access to a computer, I will present you my model after you present me your flat Earth model.
So you're strawmanning me. Did I mention a model? No. So you become a strawman using globetard religious zealot asshole who lies. I have not mentioned any model. I have no model. You, on the other hand, quote, we have a working model. You, not me. Don't strawman me.
No strawmanning you. I
say it again.
I give you a model.
I say it again, dickhead, as you're deaf. I did not mention a model. You did. Then when asked to produce it, you did not. Bloody religious zealot. You got a model you won't show us that you want us to believe in, and you've got a belief that your obstruction, not curve, is curve. Why? Because you've used your logic and your reason. Wowee. Bloody religious zealots. Like I care what you believe about your obstruction that you can demonstrate. Not curve.
Open your eyes. It's out there.
What, curve? No, it isn't.
Jose, I remember just a few days ago you were talking about wanting to be kind of neutral and presenting just observations, but now it sounds like you are completely, it's confirmation bias.
There's nothing neutral about this dude right now. He's just become a full globe troll, and it's kind of sad to see.
So globe troll, because I got my opinion, a different opinion that you do. That's why I'm a troll, because I got a different opinion that you do.
You think you give two shits about your opinion, Jose. Your opinion, the opinion of one man. You think your opinion is worth something. So what? Keep your opinions, which are like assholes, i.e. everyone has one, to yourself. Keep your religious belief to yourself, Jose. Your opinion. Like I give a crap about your opinion when we've got a 273-mile observation on screen, and you with your assertion that your logic and reason gives you over 17.
Well, and, you know, I would just say that if someone says for every piece of flat Earth evidence, there is 20 pieces of globe Earth evidence, yet refuses to show even a single or even mention a single piece of evidence, I would say that categorically makes them a globe Earth troll. And I don't know you from Adam's house, Cat. I'm just saying.
Stop trolling us, Jose. We don't believe it's flat. We know it's flat. Now, I have a question.
By the way, Pete is a troll.
I have a question. Do we believe Karen B saw Bigfoot, or do we know Karen B saw Bigfoot?
This is not a Bigfoot channel. Go to a Bigfoot forum.
Yeah, we were talking about
if
belief.
Karen B
and
said
knowledge.
she saw him, I believe that she saw him. I don't think she would lie.
All right, this was
We
fun.
don't
Thank
have-
you.
I
I just
thought we
wanted to
don't
say
have
hi to
beliefs.
John de
I
Morgala.
don't
Say hi
care.
to
This is not
everybody.
going to
See you.
descend to chaos
Bye.
about beliefs, about what Karen knows or does not know. I don't know. She's not here, and this isn't a Bigfoot forum. Who cares?
Karen B is a prominent.
Oh
flat
my god,
earther,
you
and
just
I
want to
was
get kicked out, don't you, P?
She believes in Bigfoot. So,
P, it's not a
or does she
Bigfoot
know
forum.
Bigfoot?
What part of that sentence don't you get? Can you not see what's on screen? Something that smashes all of your arguments into the middle of next week about living on a globe.
How about this, Nathan? What shape does the Earth, or what shape does Bigfoot think the Earth is?
Oh God, P, give it a rest.
P. Mars
Hey Arwin, how you doing?
that you kicked earlier.
Just give it a rest, P. Hey Arwin.
He's just trolling.
You hear us, Arwin?
I'm not trolling. Jose was trolling us with this idea that the Earth is a globe. We know it's flat.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's flat. You're right. Do you not see what's on
I don't have
screen?
a belief.
Not belief. Look on screen. Flat. Flat as a pancake.
It's flat.
Yeah, evidently.
I don't believe it's flat. I know it's flat.
Yeah,
we don't have
evidently.
any
It's on
beliefs.
screen. You're not going to address it. You're just going to troll us.
We don't have any models. We don't have any beliefs.
I do have a model.
We know. Well, Arwen, yeah.
Yeah, keep on saying it. I do.
Is it a
all
model
you're
of the
doing is
dark world or
substituting-
the
No,
light
it's
world?
a model.
P, all you are doing
model
is
of
substituting
this
the
world.
reality of your situation. You don't know it's a ball, you believe it's a ball, and substituting that with flat Earth. Like it's not on screen right now. You just believe it's a ball. You hold true to R regardless of the circumstances. And like Tim Osman and Jose, you'll try and distance yourself from that association with R somehow. But it's crap. It's just useless.
Yeah, people that are stuff. It's just they're pretending are. You know. So
Yeah.
is the dark world flat, Arwen?
What are you talking about? Talking about where we live, P.
It's talking about the dark world. That's Arwen lives in the dark world.
P, I'm going to have to kick you out soon. Seriously, can you not have a normal conversation?
I mean, flat Earth is one of the most normal conversations because it's weird to talk about a globe.
I agree. About the only normal, decent thing you've said so far, P.
When are you Globers
Thanks.
going to show up here with some damn evidence instead of your trolling tactics? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and another thing that Jose had said was that we refuse to look at another side of the argument. Basically, we're just in our echo chamber, in our little circle jerk. But what I think that these Globe Earth trolls fail to admit is that we were all reared on planet Earth our entire lives. The fact that we are now flat Earth proponents is categorical proof that we do indeed look at the other side of the argument. Otherwise, we never would have looked into flat Earth. It's not as if we're ignorant of the Globe Earth shtick, right? We were raised learning all of that nonsense and learning how we're stuck to the side of a spinning ball in outer space. And it is now in the 20 teens, and we have been graced with this revelation that all of that was nonsense. And so I just wanted to get that in there because I really can't stand it when people say that flat earthers are essentially closed-minded in a vacuum, in an echo chamber. I mean, that is very much the opposite of the truth.
Someone told me gravity was real yesterday. Isn't that funny?
Well, yeah, as there is no scientific evidence of gravity, and you do believe in it if you believe you live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite vacuum of space with gas pressure attached to said ball. Hysterical.
Well, and
Check out
you
all the
know,
laughter.
nobody's arguing what goes up must come down. That is definitely true. I would say that the theory of gravity as a warping of space-time due to the hypothetically spherical Earth warping the fabric of space and time somehow, that gravity is nonsense. It relies on the Earth first being a sphere to get that sort of gravité.
Yeah, in R they trust.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. And like in Jose's case, like it is sad because it sucks that somebody who like us, we've all been indoctrinated into this ridiculous globe theory, and we kind of try to break out of it, and because he's gone back to choosing to believe in it, now it's like we're in an echo chamber, we're in some type of circle jerk, and it's like, dude, are you serious? Like he says out loud, I choose to believe in this model. So why would you come at us thinking that you're gonna get something different? It makes no sense.
If it was an echo chamber, we wouldn't let him be in here.
Yeah, and we've believed this our whole lives from birth, pretty much. So I mean, we've been in this globe echo chamber, for most of our lives.
And I would just add that the Earth is demonstrably flat, independent of any model. So when you measure the Earth for curvature, that curvature does not exist. Okay, so does that mean that we now must explain what the sun and the moon are and their distance and how they operate? No. Measure the Earth for curvature. The curvature does not exist. Therefore, the Earth is flat. And anything beyond that is wild conjecture. I mean, I can tell you what I think the sun is and what I think the sun is doing, but it's irrelevant to the conversation. It really, truly is.
Absolutely, and the mere thought that because some buildings are being obstructed in a picture or a video, that means that or that somehow confirms that there are people living antipode from my position thousands of miles away is ridiculous. Or that there's a gas pressure next to a vacuum, ridiculous. But all these guys want to hold on to is a picture with a building that's missing, or a beach that's missing some sand on it. Like, it's so ridiculous, this indoctrination that these people are going through. It's out of control.
I agree. When these globetards say science fact, what they really mean is science opinion. Am I right?
Yes, you are. Yeah, there's an article out there that Quantum Eraser showed with me that basically stated that 99.9% of all claimed science has not adhered to the scientific method. There is very little claimed science that is actually science. So yes, P, you're right.
You still stand by that the shape of the Earth has nothing to do with science? I think you said that. I remember.
Well, science deals exclusively with cause and effect relationships. So you observe a natural phenomena and then try and establish what the cause of that phenomena is. So do you think the shape of the Earth falls into that or not?
No, a shape's not a phenomena.
Oh, right. So that would fall outside of science then, P.
Yeah, and let's not try to bury the shape of the Earth, too.
So, yeah, it falls outside of science, precisely like you claimed. Do I still believe that? Well, no, it's just a fact.
Yeah, the shape of the Earth has nothing to do with science, but
that's correct.
We want people to come here with their scientific evidence. So we
no, again, you misunderstand the claim and who's making it. You, people who believe they live on a globe, believe you have scientific evidence. That is the standard you lay down when people like Neil deGrasse Tyson say science is correct whether you like it or not, despite the fact he is actually a practitioner of pseudoscience. As an astrophysicist, he has only step one of the scientific method, observe a phenomena. So when he looks through his little telescope, he can observe plenty of phenomena. Is he going to establish the cause of said phenomena? Absolutely not. But he pretends to be science, making him a pseudoscientist. Very amusing for us, the flat earthers, who appreciate that what you're sold as science isn't.
And to me, that shows that it is kind of like a religion to Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he's basically equating science with truth. Say whatever is true whether you perceive it or not, but that doesn't hold with science, because science has so many different things that, it's just, it doesn't apply the same.
So yeah, science does not deal with the shape of the Earth, unfortunately, P. But lots of your friends seem to think it does.
Well, maybe we are fortunate it doesn't, because if it would, yeah, our Earth would be warped all over the place, just to prove the shape to us.
the globe Earth theory definitely requires faith in order to believe in it. If you're explaining to a child how they live stuck to the side of a spinning sphere, any toddler who has some sort of acuity mentally can tell you that that's not going to work. You can't stand on the side of a spinning object. And so you must have something like gravity to keep people and objects held fast to the sides of that sphere. But of course, you cannot measure, detect, or prove at all that gravity exists. And so you must take it on faith that gravity exists. And so, yes, in that respect, and many others like it, the ball earth belief is in fact a religion that requires faith to believe in.
Right. With gravity, when they tried to map out how the galaxy would have motion due to gravity, the math was all wrong, and they had to invent dark matter, which is basically a placeholder since their math doesn't work to make the equation balance out.
Right.
Exactly.
And now they're trying to readjust it once more, allowing in the electric universe concept to basically redesign it slightly different. And it's a better design. It's a better presuppositional design, in my personal opinion. But yeah, it's still presuppositional.
Wouldn't dark matter fall? You can't even observe dark matter. It's a mathematical construct, so it doesn't even fall into the first category, does it?
Right. So galaxies that they can observe with a telescope, super high-powered telescopes that are not necessarily available to us, the general public, are apparently spinning at a rate where they've decided, or they've calculated, that standard gravity would not allow these galaxies to be held together at the rates that they're spinning. And so, yeah, they invented dark energy and dark matter to allow these equations to work using the gravitational constant that was developed using the, what was it, Cavendish experiment.
But with that, I'm going to actually round out for a short break, so don't go anywhere if you're in the Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley audience, as there will be a short after show. But if you're in the live audience, also stick around for the second show. But with that, I'll say a first massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Yeah.
That's what they taught me, like in school, when I talked about it there.
Well, hey, John, you guys yesterday had a really great show, the Glowbusters. They were talking about like the electric universe.
Got a new guest. Sorry to interrupt. Hey, Creator's Creator. How you doing?
Hi, good. Thanks.
It seems like electromagnetism can kind of explain a lot of the things that they're kind of putting in place of. They're kind of replacing that with dark matter and things like that. I mean, maybe I don't understand it, but that's the way I see it.
No, it's perfect. It just shows a more complex layer of forces that are based on something that makes a little bit more sense than just gravity and antimatter opposing it. So it's just a more complete picture.
Yeah, wasn't there like an electromagnetic link between Jupiter and the sun and stuff? It's like, how many millions of miles is that?
Oh my God, I saw this documentary. When was it? It was an obvious, very dubious source, but it gave a massive explanation with this, and even said that like Venus was originally lobbed out of Jupiter past the Earth, and that caused like the giant flood. That was it was massive. It was like one of the most massive heliocentric and history all-encompassing theories I've ever seen in a video. I'll try to look it up. I did upvote it because I was just so astounded by it. Let's see.
Okay, I pulled up an article, nasa.gov. This is regarding dark energy and dark matter. And I'll just read a bit of it if you guys don't mind. It says, in the early 1990s, one thing was fairly certain about the expansion of the universe. It might have enough energy density to stop its expansion and recollapse. It might have so little energy density that it would never stop expanding, but gravity was certain to slow the expansion as time went on. Granted, the slowing had not been observed, but theoretically, the universe had to slow. The universe is full of matter, and the attractive force of gravity pulls all that matter together. Then came 1998 and the Hubble Space Telescope observations of very distant supernovae that showed that a long time ago, the universe was actually expanding more slowly than it is today. So the expansion of the universe has not been slowing due to gravity as everyone thought. It had been accelerating. So, you know, you can read on with this, and I'll put a link in the, I guess I'll do it through the Hangout, but yeah, it's just a bunch of conjecture, a bunch of theory, and yeah, it's mathemagic is what it is.
I'll say another massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of you joining us in either the Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 audiences. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!